And as thousands of Utah's college students return to class this week, universities say they're doing everything they can to control the spread. As
KSL investigator Brittany Glass reports, it is turning out to be a huge undertaking.
As Utah's colleges prepare to head back to
Remember this?
Spikes in more than a dozen states tied to colleges and universities are raising concerns. As of today.
How about this?
2 days ago, BYU had 40 cases of COVID. That has now been moved up to 79.
And bet you can't forget this. Coronavirus outbreaks at colleges and universities here in Utah and across the country dominated the headlines in early fall. And those outbreaks affected the surrounding communities. A new CDC study found counties with large universities experienced a 56% increase in COVID-19 when the campuses opened with in-person instruction. State leaders don't want that to happen again.
That's where the first surge really started. We know was in the universities. Every student should be tested within the first 10 days of coming back to campus.
The KSL investigators contacted all of Utah's major universities, and what we learned is their plan to test and retest every student for COVID is rigorous. But is it even possible?
We feel pretty good with our plan, but we're going to be tested. We're going to find out.
Testing is already underway at several universities for every student who has at least one face-to-face class.
And have you been tested here before?
Never.
Okay. Do you have any questions about the test?
Nope.
At UVU, that's as many as 19,000 students.
It was not as bad as I've heard it. It wasn't uncomfortable. It's super quick, so.
It's a huge undertaking, but it's also just the beginning. Once every returning student is tested, they have additional testing protocols going forward.
Universities will offer testing to anyone who has symptoms, but they also plan to do random asymptomatic testing, potentially hundreds of students per week. On top of that, they'll do targeted testing when cases pop up or for groups who meet in close quarters.
So it really is a surgical way of going in and looking to see if there's disease prevalence.
For the University of Utah, which has on-campus housing, students living there will be tested once a week, and it's mandatory. Outside of that, all students, faculty, and staff can be tested on a weekly basis if they want to. And that goes for most other universities as well.
The thing with testing, what we want to do is to identify the virus early and then to separate those students and get them isolated as soon as possible so we can control the spread.
All that testing means one thing: thousands and thousands of test kits per week. The big unknown: is it sustainable?
What will those resources be? Where will they come from? And ultimately, who will pick up the tab?
Those are still some of the unanswered questions education leaders have, but they're hoping the state and federal government will come through on their promises.
It does need improvement, but it's the best that we have right now, and it's a work in progress.
Most students we spoke with were supportive of the increased testing.
Especially since I don't think nearly as many people would get tested if it wasn't mandatory. And sometimes people just need that little extra shove to do the right thing to protect everyone around them.
I think they should try and open up more testing sites at the other campuses, especially since Slick has several.
The one thing both students and schools seem to understand, though, is this: it's going to take a lot of effort on everyone's part to keep kids coming to class.
We don't control this. We will be 100% online. We will be, sending kids back home. And the students don't want that, and neither do we.
College faculty and staff is another issue. Most universities are including them in their on-campus COVID testing. However, we learned Dixie State is referring staff off campus, making it a bit more complicated for them.
Brittany, looking ahead, will there be vaccine requirements at Utah colleges?
Well, Deanie, the Commissioner of Higher Education said everything is on the table for fall semester 2021, including mandatory vaccinations. However, those decisions have not yet been made.
All right, thanks, Brittany.